And this was a big book, so we had to do a workshop, 3-section workshop with this book. This was given by our HOD, so I was reading this book, and I had a lot of curiosity, and I mailed David, and as well as immediately Dr. Kyle replied back, and I was connected with my mentor, Dr. Dipti. And since then, I've been running with Team CBT. I did my level 1, level 2. I've been small group leaders in multiple programs and participated in a lot of workshop. Along with that, I had a great opportunity to meet Dr. David himself over webinar, Rhonda and Mike as well. So this was transformative for me. And the biggest part was the part where I was able to connect with my patients. That was heartwarming. But before this, now I'd like to tell you briefly about what Team CBT is. This is a program developed by Dr. David Burns, and it is a structured and integrative form of cognitive behavior therapy. This was built on foundational principles of cognitive therapy established by Dr. Aaron Beck. Dr. Burns identified some of the rooms for improvement in this traditional form of CBT, and over time he noticed that the traditional CBT did not work for everyone, and incorporated some motivational techniques and which addressed patients' ambivalence about change. In the preface of Dr. David's first book, Feeling Good, Dr. Aaron Beck himself highlights the importance of this approach, emphasizing impact of his book on mental health professionals and its practical tools for managing moods. This book is also referenced in Kaplan and Zadok Psychiatry, underscoring its significance in this field. And one of the most remarkable aspects of Team CBT is the warm and supportive community. The Team CBT community exemplified by mentors like Dr. Dipti Joshi and Mike Christensen, fosters continuous learning and professional growth. I've learned, I have personally benefited from this community through peer consultation, supervision, and attending workshop. Dr. Burns and Dr. Burns podcast have also been an invaluable resource. Now, with this understanding of Team CBT, I'm thrilled to kick off today's event. To start, I'd like to invite Dr. Prabhat Chialise, the president of PAN ECP section, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Yujal. Namaste, everyone. President of PAN, Dr. Ravi sir, General Secretary, Chief Guest, Mike, the esteemed speaker, Dr. Dipti, and all as President of ECP section of PAN to celebrate this event. I hope will be a very transformative experience for us, particularly to those of us who are in early career, early section, early stage of our career. So as Dr. Yujal already said, Team CBT is a significant advancement in field of psychotherapy, combining CBT techniques with innovative methods to enhance therapeutic outcome. This is our second series of webinar as early career section of PAN. So webinars like this, they provide a unique opportunity for us to gain insights, valuable experiences from leading experts in this field. And I urge all the participants to engage in meaningful discussion, to ask questions, to share their experiences, so that this event will inspire us to broaden our perspective and also empower us to deliver even better care to our patients. So in conclusion, I would like to take very long time. So I'm thrilled about this webinar and also the potential it holds for all of us. So let us all see this opportunity and make a significant stride in our clinical practice and also broaden our knowledge. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhat. I would request all of our participants to show their faces as well, because we'll be speaking to just the pictures, and that wouldn't be quite interesting. Okay. With that, I'd like to invite request Ravi sir for his introductory remarks.
Uh, Thank you, Dipesh. Greetings from Nepal, Kathmandu. I understand that there are people from different time zones, so I will stick to Namaste, everybody. And I would like to welcome everybody in today's seminar. At the same time, I would also like to thank and congratulate the early career psychiatrists from Nepal to choose this topic. As Dipesh has already said that this is a very important topic. Not only that this is important, but this is close to my heart. As we means older generation psychiatrists in Nepal, we didn't have the privilege to spend much time with the patients, and then our means seniors have set up an image in the public as if the psychiatrists are pill doctors. And then even today, if you go to the market, people will be saying that if you want medication, go to psychiatrist, and if you want some counseling or something like that, you go to psychologist or counselor, something like that. And I have always been advocating to my students that now we have the luxury of a lot of psychiatrists. We are almost 300 at present, and then now we can go on to specializing on the specific topics, and we can give the quality services to our patients. So, and we need to break that stereotype of a psychiatrist image as just a pill prescriber. And so we need to go to non psychopharmacology modalities also. So in that context, this CBT is a very powerful and effective means of modality of treatment. And then we definitely must master this skill also. So the early career psychiatrists, I'm sure, would be interested in this. And then with today's seminar, I'm sure most of the people will benefit, and I'm sure some of you will be interested to specialize in this field itself. So without wasting time, I would like to wish everybody all the best for this today's seminar, and I wish that this seminar will be a huge success. Thank you once again, and all the best.
I'd also request our PAN president to introduce our chief guest for the session.
Okay. So today we have a we are really fortunate to have Mike Christensen as our chief guest. As I can see from the slides, we all can see that he's a registered clinical counselor, British Columbia Association of Clinical Counselors. He has Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology, and currently he is contributing as a director of professional department, Feeling Good Institute, California. And specifically to this TEAM-CBT, he has contributed as level 5 certified master team therapist and trainer. He's also co-author of the book Deliberate Practice in TEAM-CBT. He has diverse experience in business, community organization, as well as family support roles. And he has specific skills in leadership, administration, parent training, and team building, and many more. We are sure that we will benefit a lot from his expertise. Please give him a big welcome too. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that warm welcome. Greetings from Canada. Namaste. It is a thrill for me to be here. Anytime I have an opportunity to support and work with Dr. Dipti is just an honor for me. I have had the privilege of working with her on a number of occasions, both in India and also throughout the world with her teaching and training, and you're in for a treat. Dr. Burns, I'll refer to him as David because he's just very relational that way, and I think it embodies the team spirit. David discovered early on in his career as a psychiatrist that he was very frustrated that his medication management was not getting the results that he wanted. And I hear this all the time from psychiatrists that take my courses. I get so frustrated. People just want medication. And Yujal very, very beautifully captured the fact that TEAM-CBT has this way of connecting at a heart level. And it's one of the other things I often get challenged with is, I've done some CBT courses before in my grad studies, and it's so kind of clinical and cold. And that's what David understood as well. Even with his CBT, he found not all of his patients were recovering. They were doing better than a lot of them that had been on medication management, but he still found these stuck points, these barriers that would get in the way. And for me, there's kind of three key components of TEAM that Dipti's going to talk about. The one is, of course, the testing. Before and after every session, we test, and he learned that from Dr. Beck with his scales and studies, and I use that with every single client patient that I see to know whether we're having any success. Are we actually improving during the session and between sessions? The second thing is, and I often get this with, patients that come to see me where they've seen 2 or 3 or 4 other, physicians or counselors before. They say, they just didn't really connect with me. And I thought, oh, that's so sad. And it's such a huge part of the training we do. We call it the empathy phase. And we talk about empathy, but do we know how to do it? And bringing our heart to it and allowing people to connect on a deep level. And then the third thing, and I think this is one of the key aspects of David's approach, this framework that we talk about, is looking at our symptoms not as necessarily problems, but as actually some of the most beautiful parts of who we are, right? I've done a lot of addictions work. I used to think of addictions as problems. I don't see them that way anymore. I see them as solutions that are no longer working for someone. And when I come with that perspective and we help uncover what is the power of those solutions, what is the most beautiful thing about why they're using these solutions, we understand them more deeply, and now we actually have a fighting chance to overcome them because they're coming to us wanting some techniques or skills or methods, some form of treatment that will get them out of that pattern that they're in. And so I'm thrilled to be here today to support Dr. Dipti. I think you're in for a real treat with her teaching, and looking forward to what she has for us today.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's always heartwarming and full of knowledge when I listen to you. And with this, I'll quickly ask everyone for a picture so that we'll have a memory of this event. So I'd like to request everyone to turn on their cameras, and Dr. Dipesh will quickly take a picture for that. All the participants. Okay. I can see a lot of us. Dipesh, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Yujal.
I don't think it will fit in one frame, so you'll have to take
Yeah.
multiple of them.
Yeah. You're done now.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll get back in this session again. So now I'd like to request Manu sir to introduce our chairpersons first. Manu sir, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Yujal. Namaste and warm regards from PAN. I would like to introduce our 2 chairpersons on today's webinar. Dr. Pratikchya, Psychiatrist, Associate Professor, Department of Psychiatry, Institute of Medicine, Tribhuvan University. She has 15 years experience in the field of psychiatry with over 20 publications in different journals. Her area of interest are geriatric psychiatry, sleep medicine, EEG, cognitive behavior therapy, and mindfulness therapy. Dr. Pratikchya Tulachan, welcome. And second, our chairperson is Dr. Aashish Datta. He is the psychiatrist, SSP in Nepal Police Hospital, MD Psychiatry from BPKIHS Dharan, training on cognitive behavior therapy course from Beck Institute, UK, and he is under training in CBT, UK College of Hypnosis and Hypnotherapy. He is working in suicide demographic profile in Nepal, and his area of interest is neurological and psychodynamic aspects of mental illness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that introduction. Now I'd like to call upon Pratikshya ma'am to introduce our main speaker, Dr. Dipti.
Okay, namaste everyone. Am I audible, Yujal?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Manoj, for that introduction. Before I introduce today's speaker, let me thank ECP section of PAN for having me as one of the chairpersons. And I would like to congratulate ECP for organizing this kind of academic webinar, and I hope to have more in the future. And today we all are here to listen and learn about TEAM-CBT. And we might get the answers to questions like how is TEAM-CBT exactly different from traditional CBT? Is TEAM-CBT same as brief CBT? And what is its effectiveness? So we are going to get answers to these questions. So our speaker for today she's a PhD doctor, a level 4 certified TEAM-CBT therapist and a trainer with over 2 decades of experience on educating and training mental health professionals. So I'm here and I'm pleased to present Dr. Dipti Joshi. So Dipti, the mic is yours now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Yeah, well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much, Yujal, for organizing this and also for inviting me over here. I feel so honored and privileged to be able to talk to so many psychiatrists at a time because I think as Mike already spoke and other psychiatrists also spoke that we are always working towards how do we collaborate psychiatrists and psychologists together to be able to provide the best services to our clients and therapists. And I think this is such an appreciable call that you have as a psychiatrist, as a association of psychiatrists, you have invited a psychologist to speak on something, and that in itself is very, very admirable. So thank you so much for that. And so I will quickly begin with the presentation because I am very, very passionate about this subject. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming here. It's always such a pleasure to see you here. Mike has been my mentor and guide, and I can just I cannot thank enough for him being present over here. He's such a strong support and a very important part of our the team South Asian team community where Nepal is also a part of us. So yeah, well, Yujal, should we begin with the presentation now? All right, so I'm going to share the screen so that I can begin with the presentation. So here I go. So this is so should I go with the presentation format? Yeah, I think this will be better. All right, so thank you so much, the Dr. Pratikchya, Dr. Aashish Datta, everybody, and we'll quickly begin with our work today. So this is Dr. David Dins, and look at him, how beautiful, how connected he makes us all feel. This is a picture I had taken of Mike and David when I had gone to Canada, Whistler, long time back, some 4 or 5 years back, when I had attended one of his intensive um, uh, uh, workshop which David on and often conducts. This time, after 5 years, he's going to conduct this intensive 4-day long training program. I will be talking about that briefly, but before that, I'm going to try to answer most of your questions. So, well, today this is the main aim. One is to help you understand the specific structure that TEAM-CBT provides, with Dr. David Burns has developed, and also briefly talk about the 5 levels of certification program that Feeling Good Institute California has developed for therapists and trainers to be able to learn and teach TEAM-CBT. So these are my main goals for today. So, well, as the acronym TEAM suggests, these are the 4 parts of TEAM. So, TEAM is basically, I would quickly first answer the question of Dr. Pratikchya. She asked a very beautiful question, as in how TEAM-CBT is different from traditional CBT. So, well, TEAM is basically a structure given to therapy, to any kind of therapy. I wouldn't say just restricted to CBT. What David has proposed, and what I understand, is that any therapy, if conducted well, effectively, it has to have these 4 components. Wherein T stands for testing, wherein it has to have some kind of measurements to make it more accurate. E stands for empathy, wherein you have to follow a certain protocol to be able to maintain an empathetic connection with your clients. A stands for agenda setting or addressing the resistance. I'll be talking more about it. And then comes the methods. So, well, that is about TEAM. And very quickly, I'll tell you about the unique components that TEAM offers. So, one, that each and every component of therapy is extremely structured. So, there is a systematic way of having assessments. There's a systematic way of addressing the empathy part. There's also a systematic way of addressing the resistance. Over and above that, TEAM-CBT, and I think Feeling Good Institute has also developed a very unique therapist toolkit, and that helps therapists to be able to use those methods and techniques, to be able to apply these techniques in a more systematic way. And then there are these training opportunities, and there is an opportunity to belong to the community of the global community. So there's so many things that TEAM-CBT offers. It's not just the therapy. There's also the connection that TEAM-CBT and Feeling Good Institute offers, and that cannot be minimized, because I think that is something which has helped me a lot. So I know there's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to try to talk about all of that also briefly. So once again, about the TEAM, so this involves assessments. So for any therapy to work at its best, it has to have systematic assessments, and David has developed some easy diagnostic tools over and above the regular assessments of the therapeutic progress that is made, that helps us to understand our clients in a more accurate way. So there are these tools that are diagnostic tools that have been developed. They are designed basically based on the DSM-5 and ICD-10. Then there are some assessment tools which are called the brief mood survey, and over and above that there are some depression inventory, anxiety inventory, which are done on a regular basis to be able to assess how our clients are progressing, as in how their anxiety is at various levels. So there are many kinds of assessments that are there. But very briefly, I would like to introduce to you one of the unique kind of assessment tool that we follow in every single session. So if you notice, there is something that we assess as a brief mood survey before and after every single session. So that helps us to see the shift that happens within the session. That the clients are supposed to mark their own moods on this score. So before the session, they let us know how they are feeling, and then towards the end of the session, they let us know how they are feeling. So that helps us to know the shift that happens within every single session. We can accurately measure it. it is so sensitive that at a scan, we can recognize if the client is suicidal or not. So this is extremely helpful for us. Very quickly, as a therapist, we can understand where our clients are, what is their mindset. So this is about the testing. And then there is, then there is this empathy, which is another very important part. So this is the second part, which is empathy, wherein we offer empathy to our clients in a very systematic way. So not only offering empathy, we also assess, we evaluate the therapy session based on how the client has felt empathetic or not. So here is where there's a cusp, as in we try to assess how empathetic the client has felt. So at the end of the session, we ask the client that how do they feel? How did they feel? Did they find the therapist was empathetic enough? Was the therapist understanding enough? And they let us know on a 20-point scale. So this is just a sample of it, on which on a scale of 0 to 4, actually there's a 20-pointer scale. So we come to know very accurately that how connected the client has felt, so that they can let us know, and then accordingly we can tailor made our session based on how they have felt. So even for providing empathy, David has given us a tool for being able to connect with our clients in the best possible way. So this is a second component of TEAM. So the first was testing, the measurements. Second is empathy, wherein we follow a certain structure to empathize with our clients. And very beautifully, he says that we must talk with our ear. So in itself, it shows the importance of understanding. And very nicely, he has shown that how we could follow these three specific components. So over here, E stands for empathy, A is for assertiveness, and R is for respect. So this is a communication method. So so E, whereas E is concerned, it is very important for us to not only understand our clients, but to be able to communicate that understanding in a way that our clients feel understood. Now, this is a skill which a therapist and a client and a psychiatrist needs to learn to be able to make our clients feel understood. So we have to communicate, we have to say certain things in a certain way to make our clients feel understood. So that is about the empathy. So we take complete responsibility of making the client feel understood by saying certain things. So that's the first part. Then comes the second part, which is assertiveness, wherein we take complete responsibility of our side. We make it easier for our clients to make them understand us. So you see, we seek to understand first, then we make ourselves understood as clearly as possible. And that's where the beautiful connection happens. And then we take care of the environment in which all this communication happens, where we communicate an attitude of respect. So by the things that we say, by our non-verbal and verbal cues. So this is a skill that we need to cultivate. And David has given us a very nice format for this. So this is about empathy. I'm talking very briefly about it, but this is a skill which can be cultivated over a period. So this is this specific format is for communicating with our clients all throughout the therapy, right from the first phone call until the time we conclude therapy. So all throughout we follow this way of communication that makes sure that we are having an effective communication with our clients at whatever stage of therapy we are in, right? So that's the second component, empathy. Then comes A, the addressing the resistance. I think this is where the heart of TEAM-CBT is. So we were talking about the structure of therapy, right? So we strongly believe that if there is any kind of resistance prevailing, no methods will work. So David has developed a very systematic way of being able to address the resistance. So we assess the resistance, as in we help our clients become aware of the resistance that they are having for therapy. That could sound a little awkward, like, because if the clients have themselves come to seek help, why would they be resistant? Why are they not wanting to change? Now that why has to be done in a very empathetic way, as in we try to understand the whys. And if you notice, Mike came up with that approach. He said that in this specific way of conducting therapy, we try to understand that why is the client having certain symptoms with an understanding approach. So we try to have a deeper level of empathy over here. And through that deeper level of empathy, rather than looking at their problems as problems, we try to see that they have actually come up with that kind of solution, which probably is not working anymore, but it does have some connotation of trying to find a solution. So here is where we offer deeper level of empathy to our clients and help them to bring their awareness at a conscious level about the resistance that they have towards change. So we provide a very safe environment to them, wherein first they become aware of the resistance to change that they have, and then we offer them tools to address the resistance. So let me quickly give you an example. I think that will make it more clearer. So let's imagine you all are therapists. I'm sure you all know about certain kinds of disorders. So let's imagine a client is there who has OCD, right? So they are stuck with certain anxiety symptoms. They know that they at cognitive level, at some level, they are aware that they should not be washing their hands too often, but still they are in that zone. They are washing their hands. So what is it that is making them stuck in that zone? So we help them become aware that why they do not want to give up their symptoms of washing hands. So we try to become aware, help them become aware of it and what is the reason of their resistance. And after they feel understood, then we offer them some tools. So we basically help them become aware and also become more willing to do the things that will be required from them to be able to bring about the change that they want themselves to bring, right? So there are two kinds of resistance that the clients has. One is outcome resistance and the other one is process resistance. As in, outcome resistance is something like giving up some kinds of secondary gains that they are gaining by maintaining the symptoms, and they have to give up them. And process resistance is the hard work that they will have to indulge into to be able to get rid of their symptoms which are causing them harm. So we get them on board. So at this stage of therapy, it becomes a very collaborative process. We as therapists are offering them tools, but they bring themselves over there because they know about themselves best, that what works for them, what doesn't work for them. So here is where we start working collaboratively. So once that collaborative stance has established, we are imagining that up to some level, the resistance has kind of melted away. They are on board and they are willing to move forward. Now, once that willingness is there, then we start with the methods. So as this slide mentions, and I'm going to share all these slides with you, so don't need to worry. So after this resistance is melted, they are motivated to work in a more collaborative way. Then we start working with the methods. So once again, methods has again a very beautiful stance that David has come up with, and he has a very good book the title of the book is self-explanatory. It says tools, not schools of therapy. So over here, although David is himself a cognitive behavioral therapist, so most of his tools are cognitive behavioral therapy designed, but he is very open to any kinds of tools that can help his clients. And I think that's one of the best things that I like about David's approach. He's not restricted to any one school. He just comes from a stance of helping the clients in the best possible way from wherever you can. So his tools are inspired from many other schools of therapy. So he has a very good book, which is like a manual for conducting TEAM-CBT, which is called Tools, Not Schools of Therapy. So wherein he has created some cutting edge treatment programs for our clients. I'll quickly tell you. So this is how once everything is done, then we move on with the methods. So I will quickly move on with introducing to you some different methods that he has developed. So these are different. So these are some, these are some sample methods which I would like to introduce you. There's some basic methods, there are cognitive techniques, there are some uncovering techniques which are designed from psychodynamic approaches as well. So we go deeper at a deeper level and we try to understand. There's some motivational techniques, there's some exposure techniques, there are also interpersonal techniques. So there's so many techniques. By now, David may have developed more than 150 or maybe more techniques. I don't know. He keeps coming up with so many methods, and Feeling Good Institute is also involved in some research work wherein every day some new tools are being developed. So that is about, so through these, so we have these several tools which we can pick up and then help our clients based on what they need to be treated for. So we as therapists, we get ourselves trained in all these methods and technique, and then we designed the treatment plan based on what is the need of the hour. So these are some methods that we indulge into. We design our methods based on the presentations, and there is a tool which he calls Recovery Circle, in which we design the treatment plans, and then we work towards it. So those are some of the things about TEAM. There's one more thing which I would like to add, that over and above the methods, there's a very important component that TEAM has, which is relapse prevention training. So just before we conclude therapy, so basically therapy happens in 3 phases as much as I understand. The first phase of therapy is called the psychoeducation phase, where we get educated about our clients. We educate our clients about the techniques and methods, what it will take in from them to be able to get the results that they want. That's the psychoeducation phase. The second phase of therapy is the intervention phase, where we conduct therapy and we empower our clients to become independent. So by the end of the intervention phase, the clients start feeling very, very independent. At that stage, now they let us know that they don't need us anymore. And that's the best phase for us as therapists, when they feel empowered and they don't need us. At that stage, we start the third phase of therapy, which is called the relapse prevention phase, where we prepare our clients based on our understanding about them to handle the worst that could come in their way. So at this stage, we indulge into some kind of imagination, and we help them to prepare themselves for the worst. Sometimes something that has never ever happened yet, but we prepare them for the worst. So that in itself is very, very empowering. So we prepare them for a relapse. So of course, we let them know that we are always there if they need our help, but before they need us, they can help themselves. So that's one more very important component that TEAM has. So this is the phase when we conclude therapy. So there are again very systematic methods for each of these phases. Well, with that, I would quickly conclude my session. Just would like to let you know that Feeling Good Institute has always encouraged academic partnerships from South Asian institutes. And we over here are trying to get connected with some institutes, and as long as we have not been connected with any institute yet, at an individual level, we conduct some training programs. And there are these 5 levels of training programs that Feeling Good Institute has developed. The first 3 training programs, so there are 5 levels. The first 3 levels are for therapists, and there are various units of certification that are required to be able to get that level. And you get that certification for each of these levels directly from Feeling Good Institute, California. So the first 3 levels are for therapists, and level 4 and level 5 are for trainers. So right now I have completed my level 4. So I am right now working as a trainer, and I'm working towards my level 5 training. Mike Christensen is a level 5 trainer, so he's a master trainer. So that's the highest level in this training program. So this is a structure again for our progress as a therapist, as a trainer. So so this model not only makes sure that we offer good therapy and a structured therapy, it also takes care of our own growth, as in we can progress as well. So this is briefly about that. So this is also very briefly, I'd like to tell you that I love to spread team. And as Yujal just mentioned, Yujal is always a part of our training program. So very recently, we conducted one level 1 training program where Yujal has actually organized that. And I think about 10 therapists from Nepal had got trained in that training program. Very soon we are coming up with another level 1 training program. So I conduct training programs in 2 ways. One is in person in my Ahmedabad office, which is usually over a weekend. So this is this is about that training program, which is an in-person program, which is on 3rd and 4th of August. And another training program which I'm coming up with is starting from 31st of August, which is a 5-week. So it is 4 weeks and then week 0. It has about 12 to 15 hours of training. So this is about the training programs. If you'll be interested, I'll let you know more about. But very importantly, I would like to tell you that after 5 years, David and Jill, they are our best master trainers. They are coming up with a training program, which is a hybrid version. This is in person as well as an online version, which is from 8th to 11th of August, 2024. And you're most invited to attend that. So if you want more information, I would love to tell you about that as well. So that's a 4-day intensive training program. I'm sure Mike is going to be there online. I'm sure. Are you going to be present, Mike?
You know what? This is one I'm not able to be at because I have a family member getting married that same weekend. So I'm helping to organize some of the training for the other trainers, but I'm very sadly not going to be there. I'm feeling very like I'm going to be missing out, but I'm so glad.
Yeah, I can relate with that so much. So this is also for me the first time I'm not going to be attending it, either online nor offline. I feel so sad about it. This is a big opportunity that I'm going to miss. But yeah, I also have some personal assignments, so I'm not going to be able to attend. But I would request all of you to just go through this. And so this is about team, and I'm looking at the time. I'm already 3 minutes over. So for more information, you can go to the Feeling Good to both these websites. And with that, I would like to thank you, everyone. I'll stop the screen share. Thank you so much. I would love to have questions if at all.
There are a couple questions in the chat box as well.
Okay, yeah.
I'm happy to assist
I have
you.
not seen. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I would love to. I think it would be nice for everybody to. So let me read out the questions. Should I read out the questions, Mike? Even you could answer those. I'm sure as you are here, it would be a privilege for us to get these questions answered by you. So there is this one question which I'm seeing: how to address resistance to people known to us closely in society who haven't consulted us, but we know therapy is required. Yeah.
This is such a good question. And if my understanding is correctly, this is where we, know of a friend or a family member or someone that we can see that therapy would be very helpful for them, but how do we address the resistance in that? And David has a couple of great podcasts on what he calls how to help and how not to help. And he suggests that actually trying to help will backfire almost every time. It'll actually make things worse. They'll resist. And I don't know about you, but for me, when people say, oh, you have this problem and I know what you need help with and I'm going to help you with it, I automatically go, no, thank you. And so the way to help is really through the empathy, that connecting. And I call it connect before you direct. And so just deeper understanding and support. When I have friends or family members come to me and they talk about a problem, I'll empathize with them and just try and hear them out. But then I'll offer them what I call the invitation, which is part of the assessment of resistance, and say, is this something you wanted help with, or were you just wanting to tell me about it? Because I'm happy to offer some resources, but if you weren't interested in them, that'd be fine too. I'll be here just to support you as a friend. And almost instantly, then they go, no, I want help, right? So you see, the not helping actually becomes the thing that is most helpful, which is very paradoxical in nature, but we'll find that with our clients as well, right? Like if you go to somebody who's got an addiction of, for example, kind of drinking alcohol, and you say, oh, you drink too much, I can help you. A lot of them will say, well, no, I don't, right? Whereas if you just connect with them and offer the opportunity, then you have a much better chance of helping. And that can be very difficult because you have to be what we call open hands. And when it's with friends or family members. Now, of course, there is the one disclaimer. If there is, an actual danger component, if there is suicidality, imminent suicidality, then we help just as a matter of, ethical principle. We have to do that. But that's those rare situations. So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was a very good answer. And it requires a skill to be able to come from that stance. And Team CBT offers us that kind of training. So thank you so much for that. And then there's another very interesting question. Says that, isn't it better to involve hypnosis in CBT for better results in tools like empty chair or plexiglass therapy, etc.?
Yeah, I love this question because it really comes to our methods component, which I love. David says tools, not schools. And of course, whenever people ask me, which methods do you use for this? I say, well, you empathize first. And even in the testing tools, to me, those are powerful empathy tools. When you do the brief mood survey, it's our patient or our client telling us their emotional story, and how we review that is in an empathic way to connect and understand more deeply. Then we work through some of the agenda setting. Certainly hypnosis, has shown some tremendous results. I have a colleague, Dr. Jeff Lazarus, you can look him up on Google, who does a fair bit of hypnosis using TEAM-CBT. He still follows the same framework, the testing, the empathy, the connecting, the assessment of resistance, the agenda setting, and then implements the hypnosis tools. He has, some substantial training in that area. And then even the suggestion of empty chair or plexiglass therapy. We use a lot of role play methods that would, often be looked at as, somewhat hypnotic in nature. And so once you have that, agenda set, you've addressed this resistance, you're connecting, they really want help overcoming it, then absolutely you can include some of these methods and techniques. And our colleague Daniel Minty, he's done a ton of research on yoga and its impact on combining it. I think the real genius of David is his ability to be humble, right? He was a kind of world-leading psychiatrist, won some of the top awards in psychiatry, and yet his approach is, we don't know that much. We don't know that much about how the brain works, really. I mean, and so his approach is, each of the methods that we use might be effective 5 to 10% of the time. And so if we fail as fast as we can, well, in 10 or 15 tries, you're probably going to find one that's going to work really effectively. I contend that, when people come up with a new form of therapy, they see 1,000 patients and they have, 50 of them recover brilliantly and miraculously. They write a book about those 50 and develop a program, but they don't talk about the other 900. Whereas David's like, wow, I had so many failures. I wanted to figure out how I can fail more joyously, move forward. And I think that's where he's, uncovered some of the, particularly these agenda setting components that are barriers that get in the way. But also I'm constantly learning new methods. I've been doing, this team for almost 15 years, and I'm currently doing some specialty training in inference-based cognitive behavior therapy for OCD. And I think there's some brilliant components to it. And so I love that you've even asked this question, because I think there's richness that we can learn from each of the different approaches.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. Well, there is another very interesting question. Says, ma'am, could you please guide on how to utilize principles of TEAM-CBT for self-help during times when we as mental health care practitioners ourselves face mental health issues, so that we can heal ourselves before healing our patients? This is such a beautiful question, because I think this is exactly where we learn. And that's what I was talking about, the community that TEAM-CBT has helped us to build. So we have this amazing community in India. We have about at least 200 therapists now who have been trained in TEAM-CBT, and we feel very connected with each other. So we sometimes have some kind of a team supervision. So team, I mean, I wouldn't say team, so it would be more like a colleagues get together kind of a thing, where sometimes in a group we share, and if not, there are also some at international level, like we have Daniel Minty and Matt May. They conduct some supervision programs wherein we can present our own problem in a very confidential space. I have done that myself. I know I was going through some anxiety and depression related problems myself when my daughter moved to US, and I was facing significant level of emotional distress. I managed to share that with some of the esteemed colleagues. They helped me to go through this process and learn to be able to handle myself. And I think that's where my learnings happened best.
One of the things,
yeah.
one of the things that I and David will often say is, and when I'm teaching my classes, I tell people, you're not allowed to do something with your patients or clients that either you have not done yourself or aren't willing to do, right? So, we talk about exposure therapy for anxiety, face your fears. And every physician, every psychiatrist, every, counselor, psychologist that I ever worked with has some fears. And so we do those together. It's a hard place to be, in this line of work that you're in. You're sort of seen as the people that everybody else goes to, and it can be a lonely, difficult place. I'm working with a young physician that came to me after really struggling, and when we did the testing, I sent the easy diagnostic and all the testing forms, and when I first met with her, I said, I have two reactions to going through all your diagnostic forms, which seem very clinical in nature. I said, the first is, it's remarkable that you've been able to get to where you are with the way that you've been struggling. And secondly, it's an incredible honor for me to be able to work with you. And she just started to cry, right? Because she'd felt so alone, because everybody comes to her as she's a physician, right? She's the one everyone else helps. And so there's pain and suffering for us, no matter where we're at. And that's why I think, Dipti, you've captured it so beautifully. This team community, we do a lot of personal work as a as a part of our learning journey. Now we can't offer, direct therapy if you're in training necessarily, but there are others that do offer it. And so I encourage you, because I think for me, I came to Dr. Burns because of a personal struggle as well. So boy, there's so many good questions coming in.
Yeah, there's another very interesting question. I think you are the best person in the entire team community to answer that. It says that how was your experience of TEAM-CBT in treating addiction disorders? If yes, how is it different from traditionally used models?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
one more question, but I thought you can answer that first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How is it in treating addictions? Well, in TEAM-CBT, David really, he conceptualizes or breaks down problems into 4 main categories. And if you look at the DSM-5, probably 95% of all of what's in the DSM can be categories very, simplistically into 4 categories. The one category is mood problem, right? Anxiety and depression. The second category is habits or addictions. And then the third category is relationship problems. And then the fourth category he calls non-problem, right? Which would be just normal life stress or grief. Still pain, but doesn't require, medication or treatment. It just requires a listening ear. So in the addictions area, we use different methods, and we also address the resistance in a little bit of a different way, although we still follow the same framework. So it still involves the testing before and after. There's some tools for testing temptation and craving levels. And then, the empathy is so powerful. Like when I worked in the treatment center, a lot of them, I worked with one gentleman, and actually on the feedback forum, Dipti talks about how you get feedback from your patients. This particular gentleman wrote on his feedback after a session I'd done with him, he wrote, "You suck. I never want to see you again. You're the worst therapist ever." Well, that might sound harsh and critical and a little bit painful, and yet it was the best thing that could happen. You see, because fortunately, I knew how to respond to that. And when he saw me the following week, I said to him, when you wrote that, I look back and it was hard for me to hear, because it was absolutely true. I did suck. I was the worst therapist ever. And I imagine you're feeling frustrated and hurt and angry, and justifiably so. And I feel disappointed that I've let you down so badly, because my sense is you were trying to tell me something important that I missed. Because I thought back on the session and I realized, I think he was trying to tell me something. And then he really let me have it again. And I said, on the one hand, it's hard to hear. On the other hand, I feel so grateful that you trust me enough I can handle it, and you're going to stand up for yourself. Those are the 5 secrets of effective communication that I've just used. And then he just began to pour out to me what was going on, and it transformed our work. And he wrote me a card afterwards, which is very rare, and I certainly don't expect, but he said, "You're the first person that's ever listened to me in my whole life," which on one hand was very sad. On the other hand, what an honor to be able to work with him in this way. And so we still followed that framework, the testing, the empathy, and then it came down to the agenda setting. What did he actually want my help with? In the Addictions Treatment Center, it was inpatient for 8 weeks, and they're getting a lot of support, physically, mentally, and also with the addiction component. And so I open hands asked them, what do you want help with it? Is it the anxiety that then leads you to drink? Is it the relationship problem where you get in a fight with your partner and then you go and drink? Or is it actually just the temptation, the urge when you get together with your friends or by yourself? And so the agenda setting is really key with the addictions. And then we use a lot of, specific techniques and methods. And to me, that overall, I got to do some really incredible work, because they were getting, regular exercise, proper diets, sleep schedule, supportive training, psychoeducation, all regarding their addiction. So, when people say, does it fit sort of the traditional models? I say, bring it all together. Let's not say, I've got the best thing and get rid of everything else. No, there's some beautiful things about the other approaches. Let's work together. For some people, they need to be in a treatment center, from my perspective anyway, to get, detox and get stabilized. and get that wraparound support. And now I bring a piece to it with some of the techniques I have, but if they're actively using in a significant way, the tools I have in an inpatient or an outpatient once a week session is not going to be powerful enough. It can be transformational to bring awareness, but I may need more.
Thank you, Mike,
Yeah.
so much for that wonderful insight. We have a lot of questions, but due to lack of time, I'll hand over this forum to our chairpersons to give their remarks as well. Uh, Pratikchya ma'am?
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. We'd
Okay.
love to have time to answer more, but appreciate the fact that we all have our schedule.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Dipti, that was really brief and informative presentation. And
Thank
as you
you.
rightly said, that there are a lot of 50 plus methods to conduct TEAM-CBT. During my practice also, frankly speaking, I've found that just one method doesn't work for my patient, isn't it? So I use all the methods as needed. For example, I use motivational techniques, cognitive techniques, behavioral, and even psychodynamic approaches, and even solution-focused approaches. So I mix and match them, and I call it eclectic approach.
Yeah.
So that way, I see that even TEAM-CBT is so flexible, isn't it? So thank you
Yeah.
for the presentation, Dipti. That was really insightful. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Aashish for his remarks, please.
Thank you, Yujal, so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Dipti, for such an insightful presentation, and Mike for such insightful deliberation on the topic. As a psychiatrist, practicing psychiatrist, I really developed this interest in understanding the cognitive behavior therapy part, because at the outset of our presentation, as our PAN president, he mentioned that we psychiatrists are known more for our pills, writing pills and medicines only. But then a few years of practicing, you tend to get frustrated actually, because this writing the pills and all medicines and all, they don't work for most of the patients. And you yourself tend to ask, like, how long do I continue the medicines? So that was the time, like, when I started searching, like, what could be methods, other methods, how we could help our patients. And then that was the time when I trained myself in cognitive behavior therapy. It was a brief course, although I do not practice it professionally, but that has given me a beautiful insight into engaging into a productive and fruitful conversation with my patients. And that's quite enlightening. You feel quite connected with your patients. So even at the end of the day, you are stuck with medicines and you don't have anything else to do. At least professional conversation based on the principles and practice of cognitive behavior therapy really helps your patient. Although I'm not quite familiar with the TEAM-CBT aspect, today I developed some insights into that, and definitely I look forward to learn some of the things in this particular domain of cognitive behavior therapy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Aashish. I'll take this one moment to tell one more thing about how I felt about TEAM-CBT. There was a question where someone had asked, how can you help yourself? And during my training, we did a lot of live work, and I learned how to talk to my daughter, who is 4.5 years. I learned how to talk to my wife better and resolve a lot of conflicts with my father, with my mother, and we did a lot of hard work, live work, and a lot of my anxiety came down. And listening to the podcast daily while moving up and down to my work helps a lot. I've shared one of the podcasts, which was also the question, how not to help or how to help. So that might be insightful to all of us. Now, moving further to the next part, I request Mike to give closing remarks for the session.
Well, this has been such a beautiful opportunity. Of course, I just adore Dipti and appreciate so much her passion for bringing this. And I highly encourage you, every time I have an opportunity to pop in and join the work that she's doing, you know, in Southeast Asia. She has an incredible community of people. Like she has some people that are working on their level 4 training who are just brilliant and amazing. And to see it grow, I highly encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities, even if it's just for personal development, like Yujal has just said. I've benefited, you know, so powerfully in my own life. It's transformed my mood and my relationships, but also my work. I love coming to work. I hear it over and over again from people that come into my classes. Oh, I was just getting so kind of burnt out and drained and frustrated. And then they join the community and it's like a breath of fresh air because one, there isn't this pressure to help in that same way because we learn the tools to address the resistance. But also, in doing that personal work, you know, we get a depth of understanding of our own resistance, and the beauty that's in it. We talk about something called positive reframe, where we look at what are the most beautiful parts of our symptoms, you know. And for me, when I look back on my most difficult times in my life, I felt very hopeless. Right. And that's a real prescription for despair and in depression. And now when I look back, I think hopelessness was actually one of my most beautiful things. It honored the fact that I was struggling so much. It showed that I have this desire and this passion for more. I have a high standard for my life. And it also validated the difficulty in my pain. And it helped me to really look at things in a different way. When I learned how to change the way I think, address it, as well as using some of the behavioral, it's so powerful. And I absolutely, I get excited about all my patients that I get to see now. Because when we get stuck, it's not a problem. It's just a really cool opportunity. And so I trust that we've kind of sparked your interest and that you'll, you know, take it for what it's worth, and that you'll have an opportunity at some point to learn. I'd love to have you in any of the classes or trainings, or to be able to visit you when Dipti does hers as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, for this remark. And now, finally, we are towards the end of our program. And finally, I'd like to invite Monu sir to give his closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Yujal. It is very effective session. I hope and wish all we emerging psychiatrists and who are practicing will encourage this session, will encourage to continue CBT in different models. Thank you for speakers, co-speakers and chairperson. Thank you. Behalf of PAN, I would like to thank you all participants and looking you forward to join and continue such session ahead. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you so much.
Namaste. Namaste, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Before we end, we have one great announcement for our next session that is going to be on 19th August. And please book this time for yourself. We are going to talk on emerging significance of psycho-oncology, bridging the gap. This will be by Dr. Rishabh and our chairperson, Dr. Wendy Wing, the president of International Psycho-Oncology Society, will be there chairing the session. Thank you all. Have a good evening and good morning and good day. Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
and have a nice time,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.